All right, I see 8:30 on my clock. So we're going to do something kind of fun today. I think it's something fun today anyway. For the people online, the world is changing. And unfortunately, we're dealing with the aftermath of a whole bunch of brand new people coming into the industry. And the warning from me as your broker is you've got a lot more competition now than you've ever had before. Your neighbor now has their real estate license, and your neighbor knows your other neighbors, and they're competing with you. And out of obligation, I think you're going to find yourself making listing presentations in competition with other people, right? Jeff, you're muted, but so if you're making a listing presentation in competition with another person, this is when we're going to shine, right? Because when you have a process to follow, you're going to win.
Stop sharing real quick. So then before we jump in.
Oh, good point. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. So
Process.
I'm going to change my background too, so this looks a little more professional.
I think it's really important with the shifting market, and you're competing, but it's also really important because for the last 2 years, we haven't had to really do anything to get a lot of our business. A lot of us haven't had to do a thing. It's been very easy for us to get the opportunities just because of the conditions of the market around us. So when those things happen and business comes to you, we get a little lazy, and we don't
They didn't even have to price a house. The market priced it.
Yeah.
We just picked a number and then they bid it up to here. We had no idea where it was going to go. That's changed now.
Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, the purpose is everyone in our church, even our pastor's daughter-in-law is a realtor. Yeah. So that old, I'm the realtor in the town, that's not in anymore. So, and out of obligation, your customers are going to choose. They're going to say, well, let's talk to Jeff and Chris and see what they say. And if Jeff fumbles in with, oh, yeah, we're good buddies and glad to know you from high school. What do you think you want to sell your house for? That's a presentation that most agents are doing. And if Chris comes in with, hey, let me show you how to run my business. I need to preview your house, got to do this. Here's my Moxie presentation, shows you all my comps, here's my electronic spa with all this fancy stuff that goes on. And then we're asking questions throughout the process, which a sales presentation is really a series of questions. We've got a listing presentation script that goes through that ties into our pre-qual script, and it all is masterful. So that's what we want to go through today, is the proverbial right way. And hopefully you all will follow the prescription. If you follow it most of the way, it'll be okay. But if you really dedicate the time to learn it the way we're going to show it to you, you're going to nail it every time. And you're not going to have commission objections, and you're going to make a shit ton of money. So that's kind of where we want to go with. So
how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah, half-assed or all the way.
So just make a commitment to yourself, to your business, to your customers, to your future, that I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to do everything as a professional. I'm going to have a system. I'm going to handle the mobile homes to the $1 million homes, my family, friends, to the people I just met. I'm going to handle them all the same, and they're going to all go into my system. They're going to go through this process. They're all going to have that same experience, not just a transaction, that same experience. And that's what creating this bulletproof listing system is all about. It's about creating an experience that helps you to build your business, but also helps them to have just the most amazing transaction and experience that they've ever had selling their home, which is typically a really stressful time.
It's also easy, right? It's also simple, because if you do the exact same thing every single time, you're going to get damn good at it.
Yes.
Right? And whether it's the mobile home or a $5 million home or a $400,000 condo, same thing. I'm glad you're excited about selling your property. Let me tell you how I run my business. Here's how I like to run it. I'm going to come over and do this, 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 and this. And that's the process we're going to go through. You kind of flip the switch on autopilot and just roll. Right? And it's just easy. You don't have to think about anything about what you're going to say now, which we'll touch on in a little bit too. You've got the ability to actually connect, right? Because I'm not occupying my brain with, oh gosh, what am I going to do next? What am I going to say? When do I go? What's the next step? It's natural. It's automatic. It's boom, 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 right? So I know what I'm going to say. Now I can pay attention to your eye contact. Now I can pay attention to your body language. Now I can pay attention to your vocabulary. Now I can pay attention to you. Now I can build that strong connection, which is really what the sale is all about. And the rest of it is just the logic stack, right? We haven't talked about that in a while, but people buy with emotions and they justify with logic. So when you have your presentation on point, it's logical to buy with you, right? It's logical. There's no reason why not to. You're on point, you're professional, you look good, your everything is just on point, and you're paying attention to me, and you're relating to me according to my personality style, and you're noticing that I'm visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and you're repeating back my vocabulary, my tempo, my eye contact, my breathing patterns, all those things combine to make it just completely bulletproof. So that's what I'm excited about this one, is you just can nail it every single time, because that's where the money is really made. It's the trust, and trust comes from connections.
And just a word of warning, doesn't come easy. This is going to take effort on your part.
Yep.
Practice, 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 and then it goes. Right. So this is going to be what we call an evergreen video. We're going to send it out to you all when it's done. And the idea is we'll probably integrate some role playing into the offices so we can practice this, maybe do some listening presentations live in front of the group for those of you who want to impress, because this market, it's pretty much on the writing. You've seen all the reports from realtor.com, from Zillow, from the builders. We're going to have a low inventory for a long time, right? It's going to take a couple of years to get out of this mess. So those of you who are in the position to attract listings are going to really control the market. And that's where we want to be. So we want you to be bulletproof, strong on this. All right. I think it's enough of an intro.
Yeah, let's pop on in.
Okay. Chris, we're going to do your screen.
Sure, we can share.
And there we go.
This is basic. This is what we were talking about. A good system shortens the road to the goal. And I would ask you a really quick question. How many of you, when you got up this morning or standing right where you're at, how many of you have your pants on backwards? None of us. Well, Craig, you got to wear pants first. None of us have our pants on backwards because we have a system. It's a simple system for putting our pants on, and we end up putting our pants on the same leg first every single morning. We end up and our pants are on and we walk out of the house and everything's good. But when you first start off with that system, it's not always easy. I always equate it to my 4-year-old. I see him putting his pants on. He came out with his pants on backwards the other morning because he doesn't have that system down yet. So
Yeah.
just understand, this is not a simple process. It's simple. It's just not always easy because you have to make the commitment. So it's about creating a system through that process so that it's as easy as putting your pants on. When someone says, I want to list my house, you said, that's great. Here's how I handle my business. And we walk through all those steps.
And be ready to say no, right? Which is
I'm not wearing pants today.
yes. Pants are overrated, right? But to the point where when you go through this process, you're going to have the flexibility and freedom to not work with them, because what you're going to find is that's many times is going to be your best choice, because if it's going to pull you off of your system, it's going to destroy your business.
But let me add to that. It's not that you're not going to work with them. You're not going to work with them now, right? To make a full on listing presentation to somebody who's not ready to sell yet is a waste of time.
Correct.
But you can't throw that person away. They're going to go into your CRM with reminders and notes to make follow-up. So when they are ready, you're there for them. Because if not, they're going to run into another realtor at the grocery store 2 months from now, and they're going to list with them. So this is part of a salesman's job.
The other point of that, though, is that if I say, let me show you how I run my business, I want to come over and take a look at your house, I want to go do the preview, I want to look at do my comps. No, give me my price right now. What would you list my house? How much price per square foot? Give it to me right now. Don't come look at my house. Tell me what's going on. Peace out. I'm not dealing with you. That's not the type of business I run. That's not the aggravation I want in my life. I'm not working with you, right? You're going to have the flexibility to do that also when they don't fall into your program, right? Try to call your doctors and say, no, I'm not going to wait till next Wednesday. I'm coming in today at 11, damn it, right? You're not going to be seen by that doctor because he has a system and he has a process and he's a professional.
You'll be escorted out of the building.
That's right. That's right. So let's look at this. So seller versus thinker. And to me, I think this is really, really important because they look so similar. And it's a trained eye that can tell the difference, right? Between somebody who's thinking about selling and somebody who's actually really selling. And so these are the 3 questions. I wish we could tattoo them on your forehead backwards so you see it constantly when you look into the mirror. They have to answer yes to these. Do they have to sell their home? Right? That's pretty cut and dry. And if it's a yes or no, I kind of want to is not a have to, right? No, but if we get this price, we would. That's not a have to, right? So that's going to come up to a decision tree for yourself. This is what we want. We want a seller who has to sell their home. They know where they're moving to, and they have a time frame where they need to be there. right? These are three really important things, guys. And you have to be honest with yourself to know that if the answer is not yes to these ones, to Craig's point, that doesn't mean you're flushing them down the toilet. It means they're not ready yet. And
It doesn't mean that you're not putting their home on the market either. It just means that you do not have a seller and you're not counting that as one of your closed deals this quarter, because this is not an actual seller who has to sell with all of these three things.
Absolutely.
So I got a job transfer. I have to move to Jacksonville and my job starts August 1st.
Absolutely.
That's a real seller.
Yep.
If I can get $1.6 million for my house, I could move to the Keys, or I could move to the Bahamas, or I could go to the East Coast. It doesn't matter. I don't have a hurry. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't. That's not a motivated seller. That's not a seller. That's a thinker, right? And you're going to be in a position where some thinkers are going to say, "Hey, let's try it." And to Chris's point, that's okay.
Especially in this market, you're going to have a lot of let's try it. I want to get this number for my house. And where are you going to move to? We're not sure yet. I don't know. We could probably just rent. I can move in with somebody else. But if we can get that number, it would make a world of difference in my family if I could get that number and put that kind of cash in my pocket. I don't know where we'll go or what we'll do, and there's no real time frame, but we'd be really great if we could make that kind of money. They're not necessarily a seller, but it doesn't mean you have to flush them down the toilet and not help them with that opportunity to make that kind of difference in their life. And these are where you start to have to make these decisions. You just have to determine, is it a seller or is it a thinker? And then you determine whether you're going to work with them or not. So do they have to sell is one of the first questions, like Jeff was saying. Do you have to sell? Do you need to sell because you have a relocation? You're actually about to go into foreclosure. You can't make your payments. You had a job transfer. You're getting divorced. You're getting married. You're having kids. Do you have to sell your home? And after that question, the next one is, do you know what are you going to do when you sell this home? Where are you going to go? Do you know where you're going to move to yet?
Are you qualified to buy it? Come on, guys, we're risking people's lives here. Interest rates have jumped into the 5s. They've got a 3% mortgage now. I would have them get qualified with a mortgage broker before they put their house on the market, so they know what they can afford to pay for their next house. Right? What if they say, "Oh, sugar, I'm going to sell this one for $450, but I can only qualify for $300"? It might change their mind. And I don't want you to go through the work of putting it on the market just to cancel and take it off the market. We're not in the business of charging cancellation fees, right? We don't want to do the effort if it's not a serious seller, and you shouldn't want to either. So these are just steps we want you to take them through, because you are the leader. You are the real estate professional guidance person.
So this process we're going through right now is for when they qualify, they answer all these three questions that say yes. And now we go through the process. So, oh, you're thinking about selling your house, or you want to sell your house, or you decided to sell your home. Good. Let me explain to you how I run my business. This is how we roll. So let's click on 7 P's. Let's go through them, Craig. We had 6, but we graduated to 7 last night when me, Chris, and Craig were chatting about this.
Yes. Okay, I'll take number 1. So it's practice. And I said it earlier. You can't just, we practiced last night this presentation for you, right? Because we know what the next slide's going to be. We don't have to think about it. We got our parts and roles. So you have to build into your schedule, your Google Calendar, some practice time. And it can be by yourself. It can be with a role play buddy. It can be by Zoom. It can just be sitting there reading the scripts. But we're going to give you 2 really important scripts here. One is the listing pre-qual script, and one is the listing presentation script. Both of those should become second nature to you. I mean, Jeff, you can read the listing presentation without it even on your desk. Hi, thanks for having me over tonight. This meeting's only take between 5 and 25 minutes. Can we have a seat at the kitchen table? Thanks. Hey, I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. Number 1, do you absolutely have to sell your property? Number 2, right? So you have to have that down, and it takes practice to do it. And you have to have the discipline to make it a priority to do this, or the rest of the system's going to fall apart, because you're going to go and stutter. Oh shit, what do I say next? Oh God, what's next? And you all have these fears about walking in with notes, which is a stupid fear, because most presentation people have notes with them when they come. So you can bring your script with you, but still you'll feel more comfortable if you've internalized it on the inside.
And let's call out the obvious on this one too. If you're not practicing, you're not a professional.
Correct.
Right? It's the amateur versus professional, right? Amateurs don't get paid. They play around, right? Professionals get paid, but they practice. So that's why they're good, right? So if this truly is your skill, if this is your trade, if this is your career, you have to practice. How could you even expect to not be amazing, to be amazing if you didn't practice? So you have to practice, but practice right, and practice the same thing over and over so it becomes second nature, right? Because you can't practice winging it, right? You can't do one presentation one way, the next one a different way, the next one a different way. You could, I guess, but it's not going to be consistent. It's not going to be professional, and you're not going to be able to stay on point with the connecting with your clients. So that's why practice is hugely important.
Sure. So walking quickly through the 7 P's, and we'll jump into each one individually. The practice, prospect with persistent follow-up, that's your baseline. That's you setting the tone, setting your schedule. And we'll talk about those in a second. But the minute that I find someone after practicing and then prospecting for them, finding somebody and then having to follow up with them regularly, it's going to jump into, this is how I handle my business. Wonderful. I'm so happy that you want to sell your home. I'd be happy to help you out. This is how I handle my business. First, I'm going to need to ask you a few questions. Next, I'm going to need to come by and take a look at your property, because I really can't properly price it until I get my hands, eyes, ears, and really feel it, what that property is. I'll come back. I'll do some research on my own. I'll step back into your home. We'll present all of our findings with everything that we have. And then we can talk about positioning it on the market to put as much money in your pocket as possible. So that's the general flow of what that is. But if you're not taking control of the conversation when they say that they need to sell their home after you've gone through the practice and the prospect, if you're not taking control of that conversation, you are automatically giving some of your power away and letting them handle it. Tell me how much my home is worth. Tell me that. I don't need you to do that. Like Jeff was saying earlier, I just want to know what it's worth. It's really simple. Don't waste your time doing this, that, and the other. Fortunately, this is how I handle my business, and I'd really love to give you the best experience. So let me tell you how this will work. So that's the general flow of it. And then once we get into it, like you were just talking about, practicing. So Jeff, what are some of the most important things that you would say for practicing? If you were talking to somebody and they were trying to get ready to be ready, what are some of the most important things for them?
I'll make it really simple. You have to learn the words. You've got to get the words out of the way. You have to, or else you will never be successful in this business. I'm going to say it point blank like that. You will not be successful unless you have your words internalized for your presentation. It's impossible, because when you don't have them internalized and you don't know your skill, you don't know what you're going to say, you're constantly focusing on what you're going to say, which means you therefore cannot focus on your customer. And when you cannot focus on your customer, you don't get the deal. That's it. Flat out, that's it. Because all these things on this list right here are irrelevant if you're thinking about what you're going to say next. You can't pay attention to mirror and matching connections. You can't go into neutral. You can't even focus whether they're DISC personalities, if they're VAK representational systems, because you're thinking about what are you going to say next. It's impossible. And that's right there, Chris, is why that's the difference between those who do well and those who don't. It's that cut and dry. It's that black and white.
That's the basis of it. I mean, this is not necessarily the real estate business. That's our secondary job. Our primary job is people and communications.
Yeah.
People will do business with you if they like you, if they know you, and if they trust you. And the only way that they're going to like you, know you, and trust you is if you're able to build some type of connection with them, build rapport with them. You have to get in line with them, in congruency with them in some ways, shapes, or forms. And here on this page is a bunch of the lists of those things that you can really focus on. I mean, mirror and matching with somebody. You can do that in person, on the phone. And we have this really cool tool that we're using right now to talk to you and connect with you called Zoom to help mirror and match with people. So you can hop on a Zoom call with them. I hear people say that all the time. I don't like the phone. I don't like talking to them on a phone. I like to be face to face. I like to be able to see them. Well, hop on a Zoom call. That's a really easy way you can start mirror and matching with them. Then those start to create more connections. But before you start doing that, neutral. You've heard Jeff talk about this all the time. Pop it into neutral. I don't like anything. I'm just going to go completely blank. No facial expressions, no tonality, no any of that. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to be very neutral with my whole approach. And I'm going to see what you give me. And then whatever you give me, I'm going to give it right back to you. But you can only do that if, like what Jeff said, if you know the words that you're going to say next, because you've practiced the script so many times that you know what happens. It doesn't matter what objection comes, what they ask, what they say, if they throw you off track. I know what the next thing is because I've practiced my script. Now I can really focus on the individual. I can focus on if they're making eye contact with me all completely and they're really into it, or if they're really focused on the numbers, or if they're more of a C personality who's really kind of just a little bit held back and asking questions and they're not really connecting with me. I could really focus on that individual more than I am focusing on the words and what I'm going to say next.
Chris, let me comment on that because we're talking about some advanced stuff that some of our newer people don't understand. So I want y'all to know you can go to the Next Level Resource Center at c21beggins.teachable.com, and it will give you, you'll see classes on DISC, you'll see classes on VAK, you'll see classes on the NLP touches that we're talking about. So this class today is not going to teach you how to do these things. You're going to have to go in the Resource Center and take the classes on those, but they're there for the taking, right? So if we're over your head, just know the resources are there. Check with your manager, will point you in the right direction.
Yep, that's right. And going through a couple of just these bullet points, the 73855, we're not going to go deep in today, but that's just drives this point home.
That's my favorite thing.
7% of communication is words. That's it, right? That's it. That's words. It's the words that come out of your face, right? The rest of it is the 38% is the tonality. It's how the words sound as they're flying out of your face. And 55 is the body language, it's how you're looking, how you're feeling, how you're moving. And that's how communication really happens. So only 7% is the words.
Yeah, watch this. That damn dog. That damn dog. 3 words. Just the words. That damn dog. That damn dog. I love her so much. Right? That damn dog shit on my carpet. Same words, right? That damn dog. But words only, words with tonality, and then words with body language mixed in. Same word.
Great example. For example, you want to sell your home, right? All the things come in, which goes into the upswings, and it's the tonality and how you sound. But you can't tweak how you sound unless you know how you sound. And if you're making up things as you go, there's no way to know consistently what you're going to say. So there's no way to know how you sound, right? So you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're never going to be good. You're never going to have money. You're never going to be wealthy. You're never going to get ahead of the game unless you have your words internalized, right? That's it. You can't repeat and approve because you're going to be thinking about what you're saying next rather than listening to what they're about to say so you can internalize it, regurgitate it, and shoot it back. That's repeating and approving. But you can't. It's impossible. Our brain cannot do it. You cannot listen, repeat, and approve if you're thinking about what you're going to say next. It's impossible, right? So why would you even try to aggravate yourself? Why? It doesn't make any sense. So the next point is record yourself. The best thing I did, and I still do it, right? I record myself. I record myself a lot. Yeah, it's a lot easier now, holding on to our little things right here. Record yourself. Record your listing presentations that you're going on. Record your practice sessions that you're going on. Put your video camera up. Record yourself in your own Zoom room, right? And Zoom to yourself and then watch that back and critique it, right? You have all the tools. They're free. They're sitting right there. But for you to not know what you look like and what you sound like is irresponsible, and it's going to destroy your business, right? So imagine saying, okay, this is going to be my process. This is going to be my script. Let me learn it. I hate scripts. That's not me. I want to be me. Good. Be you and be broke. Okay. I want you to be damn good. Now your you is going to come out of your script as your script is internalized. So we're never going to make you a robot because robots aren't rich anyway, right? What we want to make you is consistent and good, right? And great. So you can focus on connecting with people and easy. You have to. So if you haven't been recording yourself, start. There's no excuse not to. And that's the best way to get feedback. You bring it to your manager, send it to me. I'll watch it. I'll critique you, right? Our job, guys, is to lift you up, right? To make you better, to take you to the next level in your life. Whatever your level is, there's a next one, right? And our job is to hold your hand, pull you up, push you, right? Kick your butt, pat you on the back, whatever we need to get you up to that next level. But we can't do everything for you. You have to do this point yourself. You've got to practice. You've got to record yourself, and we've got to see where you're screwing up. Because if we listen and we say, oh, listen to that upswing, look, okay, now we can tweak you. Now we can make you better. And now your next presentation, you're 10% better. The next one, you're 5% better. The next one, you're 20% better. Next one, you're 50% better. Now you're just a machine. And we can parachute you into any listing presentation. You can say, great, thanks for having me over, guys. Let's go have a seat at the kitchen table. I wrote down 3 questions for you, right? And now you just, anytime, anywhere, anyone, you'll win. That's the importance of this.
Jeff, I'm glad you brought that up because Puma and I are working on 3 different listing sources right now, which are promising to deliver us 2 to 4 listing presentations a week. And we are honestly afraid who to give these appointments to because we don't know who gives a good listing presentation. Right? So there's going to be lots of opportunities for those of you who master this presentation the way we want it done. We can feed you listing appointments, but we're not going to give them to you if you're going to go blah, 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 because many times you're competing. You know, on our corporate reload team, when we get a corporate listing for a relocation client, we have to interview, the customer is forced to interview 2 different agents. And we win most of the time, right? Because we're practiced, and that's a specialty skill.
What's Chris?
Constant and never-ending improvement.
It was Dad's boat.
It's the only thing that you should ever be comparing yourself. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. Don't compare yourself to the next person or even a person that you're competing with against for a listing. The only person you should ever be competing against or comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Am I better than I was yesterday? Can I be a little better than I was yesterday? And for those of you saying that I don't like scripts or I can't do this way, or I don't really follow a system, trust me, if you're telling me any of those things, you are following a system and you are following a script, and it's not anything that's going to help you improve and get better and end up putting more money in your pocket. You are definitely following some type of routine and script and process when you go on a listing presentation. And if it's not this, it's not going to help you constantly be better with constant and never-ending improvement. So get a system, learn the scripts, go through the processes, practice every single day, always try and be a little better than you were yesterday. It's the power of one more. It's just, I'm just going to be one more step better than I was yesterday, one step further than I was yesterday. And that's progress. And as long as you're making progress, we all feel happy. We all feel like we're doing something. We all feel better. We all feel like we're accomplishing something. So that constant and never-ending improvement, just apply that to your business with all these simple steps.
Love it. And that's just one of our P's. We got more for you guys.
But this is the first one, and it's first for a reason.
Yes, that's right.
Because number 2 doesn't make sense because you're not going to have the confidence to go out and talk to strangers if you're not confident, right, about what you're going to say. So the purpose of practice is to get confident so that you can be competent in the field when you're really trying to get the business. So number 2 is prospect. Oh, that damn P word, really?
Prospect. So we were down, we're not going deep into this today. We're just going into reminders that you got to pick a lane.
But once again, the Resource Center has classes on Remind for looking for absentee owners, has classes on farming, everything the same way we do it. So the resources are there for you. We're just not going to hit them today.
And in Beggins Agents, you actually have a drop down that says pick your lane.
Yeah.
And you can go into absentee owners, you can go into sphere of influence, you can go into all types of different niches. And we have individual classes designed on those specific niches right in there. So whichever way you want to be, that's it.
Right.
The line is the next one. How many rabbits can you chase, right? 1, if you want to actually catch one, or else you'll just be running around in circles, right? 0, laser focus in on what your goal is and say, I'm going to become the listing master in X. Whatever X decides to be for you is perfect. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you like. It could be waterfront homes. It could be startup homes. It could be move up homes. It could be retirement homes. It could be duplexes. It could be apartment buildings. It could be fish farms. It could be, doesn't matter, right? Is pick one, because you can't go after everything. You go pick one at a time and get good at one. If you're great at that one, stay there. If you want to do something else later, do something else later. But you got to zero in and focus on something and say, I'm going to call 100 absentee owners this week, period, end of story. That's what I'm going to do. No other thing is going to enter my process. Nothing's else going to get on my calendar. That's what I'm going to go do. And I'm going to do that until I have my outcome. And my outcome is 1 solid listing appointment a week. 1. Not 2, not 6, 1. But what's a really good listing appointment, Chris? What would qualify 1 real appointment?
1 real appointment, somebody who has to sell, somebody who has a dedicated place that they have to go and a timeline in which they have to be there.
There you go. Now, here's the danger. I know most of you watching have people that are thinking about selling their home, and you have potential listings coming in the future. That's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about deliberate, focused actions, activities in one lane to talk to people you do not know. Maybe those of you do know if you're picking that as your sphere, but deliberate actions to find out who has to sell, knows where they're moving, has a time frame to be there. I need one of you this week, and I'm going to find you this week, and I'm going to go do that. I'm not going to be reactively hoping somebody calls me. My ass is getting out there, banging doors, making phone calls, shooting texts, making posts, DMing, whatever it takes, whatever lane I chose, but I'm going to keep going until I have one solid appointment with somebody who has to sell, knows where they're going, and has a time frame. Not one of those three, not two of those three of those three. I'm going to find one. If I don't find them today, guess what? I'm doing it tomorrow. If I don't find it tomorrow, I'm doing it the next day. Don't find it the next day, I'm doing it the next day. Don't find it the next day, I'm doing it. If I didn't do it in half an hour, I'm going to work for an hour. If I didn't do it in 2 hours, I'm going to work for 4 hours. I'm going to go until I find one solid appointment this week, because when I do, I'm going to make great income to fuel my goals and take care of my family. One. And if that's it.
What's the big takeaway from that I get out of it for hearing you talk like that is focus, energy, and intention. Do you think that Jeff had all three of those things with everything that he just lined up for you? He said, he goes, do I want to chase rabbits? Do I want to chase how many rabbits? Which rabbit? That rabbit? No, I'm going to chase this rabbit, and I'm going to make sure I get that rabbit to get one of you a week. It's going to be one of you. I know it's going to be. You're going to be sitting down. We're going to be talking about listing your home. And if you list your home, that's great. If you don't, that's great just as well, because there's another one right behind you. It's a focus, a clear, concise focus on what you want, the outcome that you want, the goal that you're after, with energy into it, not just sitting there, I'm looking for another seller, I'm hoping to get somebody, and an intention that the outcome is already there and you're going to get it, but you got to show up with that kind of focus, energy, and intention to get the outcome. That's what all of this is predicated on before you even pick up that phone. If you can say, this is the lane I'm going to go, these are the actions I'm going to take, these are the times I'm going to do it, these are the days I'm going to do it, this is how many calls I'm going to make, this is how many people I'm going to talk to, and this is how many appointments I'm going to get this week. And if I get my appointments by Wednesday of this week and I decide I want to take the rest of the week off, I'll do that. But if not, because the momentum is moving, I'll keep calling and get another one. But you have to have that kind of focus, energy, and intention put out before you even pick up that phone.
And one last thing to add about that real quick, Craig, is commitment, right? The difference, and Puma talks about this all the time. Are you interested in getting one appointment a week, or are you committed to getting one appointment a week? Because if you're committed to getting one appointment a week, you don't end your week until you get one appointment, right? If you've got to call 5,000 people, you got to call 5,000 people. It is what it is, because you're committed to finding one, right? And that's your commitment to yourself and to your family and to your future, right? And that's the big difference, guys. That's the separator from the top agent, top producers to people who aren't yet, is the commitment that I will get a listing this week, no matter what. By Friday, I will have a new piece of inventory hitting the market for this weekend, and I'm going to go do that. And they do it, and they work until they get it, and they exhaust one list, they go to another one, they go to another one, they go to another one. So are you committed is the question I wanted to point in there.
And you're doing this in other parts of your life as well. We've all had the instance where we've had a family member that needed some extra money and we didn't have the extra money, but somehow we found a way to come up with it because we got really committed. We got really focused. We had a real strong, solid intention that it had to happen. And we're just asking you to just understand that everything that you're trying to create and everything you're trying to connect with is already inside of you. You just have to make that decision that this is the person that you're going to be. This is how I'm going to show up. This is what I'm going to do. This is the outcome. And I am committed to it.
And I think one of the biggest challenges is you are your own boss, right? We're independent contractor. We're not your bosses, right? If I was your boss, I would say you need to talk to 30 people today or you're fired and you don't get a paycheck. But you don't have that leverage on you. You can just escape it, right? So it's kind of needs you to split your personality. One is the boss. Would you hire you and pay you a salary to do this job? Like Jeff, we've got a girl in the Philippines. She has to make 200 contacts a day or she doesn't get paid.
Right.
Right. Every day at the end of the day, I get a report that says how many attempts she made and how many people said yes and how many people said no and how many people said F off and all that. But every day at 5:30, there's a report in my inbox that says, this is what I accomplished today. So she's reporting to a boss. Who are you reporting to? We'll hold you accountable, but we're not writing you a check and we're not going to punish you if you don't do it, right? Unless you give us permission to.
I think these first two steps are the ones that we really have to focus on as agents coming into a market, whether the market stays the way it is, and whether the market starts to shift, no matter who's the president, no matter what's going on with the economy, you have to be practicing as a professional and you have to be prospecting for those opportunities with that kind of energy and intention. If you do those things, that's the only way you're going to create the opportunities to go into steps 3 through 7. If you don't do these things regularly and you don't become good at them as a professional, you're not going to create the next opportunities to show up and set this is how I handle my business. Here's the next step. So these are the ones that most of us really need to focus on so that we can get really good at becoming a professional sales associate.
And I don't want to use scare tactics, but what if your neighbor comes in and takes this approach and they focus and they practice and they prospect and you're not? Right? There's a lot of competition out there. I mean, we've got 1.5 million members in NAR right now. We were down to 700,000 members. So we've doubled NAR's membership. And most of them are in Florida. Right? And they're like little ants picking off the little bait and getting one deal here and there because nobody's rising to the occasion. Jeff, you and I've talked about this a lot. A new agent can come into any market and take it over inside of 6 months if they do the things that we talk about doing.
No question about it. And
right?
so can you.
And so can you. So you're now a new agent starting over. Here it is, May 25th. You're starting over. Today's a new day. You have 6 months to take over whatever you want and you can do it when you have your practice and your prospecting skills honed in, because nobody else is doing this stuff. That's not true. One of the lead sources Mike and I are talking to, any agent that signs up for this program has to log in at 8:30 every morning and do script practice for seller objections if they want to get these listing leads. How many agents in our company would want to do that? You have to log in 5 days a week at 8:30 to do the active video on role playing seller objections if they're going to give you their listing leads.
That's right.
It's almost like you have a job.
Yeah. But they're also making $200,000 a year, which is more than most doctors make.
You know what quote just popped into my head, Greg, is one we haven't used in a long time is I do today what others won't. So tomorrow I can do what others can't.
Yeah.
And I love that one. And it's always on my mind for that one. But that's really the case, guys. What we're talking about isn't always sexy and fun, right? It's not. It's work, right? To go bang out 50 phone calls in the next couple hours, it's not glamorous, but it certainly creates income to do really cool stuff, right? And that's your job. That's the whole thing. You need a doctor like walking into room after room staring at people's ears? No, but he likes his paychecks.
Hey, bud. I always like to use the Jimmy Buffett example.
Yep.
Right? Friggin' how many, do you think he's excited about walking on stage playing Margaritaville?
Every single show,
Every
five nights a week, sometimes 2 and 3 shows in a day.
But look at what Margaritaville has become. A housing resort, housing communities, short-term rentals, restaurants.
$1 billion enterprise for him for easy right now.
$1 billion enterprise.
So
but
yeah,
you got to do the boring things till the boring things lead to results that are exciting. So playing Margaritaville is boring, but he did it so many times it became pretty damn exciting.
And then here's the secret. You got to do this until you don't. Right? That's the reality of it. You got to do this until you don't, because there's a point in your career where you've done this enough that people will start calling you, and you'll be so known in your neighborhood that people will be calling you. But you got to do this to get to that point. And even when you're on that point, if you want a next level, you still got to do it in another neighborhood until they become known to you and they start calling you too, right? So it's simple. So this is the job, guys. This is it. It works. And P3 here, we've pretty nailed this one already. And it's really pre-qualify them, and we'll hit the script, right? The pre-qualifying script. But guys, the key about pre-qualifying is about, do they qualify for you? Right? And that's a different mindset on this one. Are you the type of client I want? Right? And that's a strong statement, right? Because when you're attached to the outcome, That's a big issue. But when you're prospecting, you have a pipeline. And when you have a pipeline, you don't have to be attached to the outcome. If there's one listing and the guy's a jerk and they won't be realistic on pricing, why do you want that aggravation in your life? Why do you want to work with somebody like that? You will when you don't have anything else. You have no choice because you need money and you're going to take that deal. But when you have 4 other appointments stacked up the end of this week, you're okay to refer that one to somebody else who's not prospecting and still taking half their check, right? That's the difference. This is the mindset on this one is, do you qualify to be my client, right? And my clients answer my questions in my order and they have urgency and I like them. Now, I have skill, you guys all have skill to realize that we can adjust to connect with anybody, really, no matter what the personality is, no matter what the representational system is. But it's also interesting to be able to not have to do that if you don't want to. Right? I could deal with a jerk who's super crazy analytical and it would aggravate the crap out of me. I could do it if I needed the cash and I can make that guy write me a great testimonial at the end, but I might not enjoy that process. But if I have a pipeline, I don't have to. You guys see the magic in that? The magic is having options, and you don't have options until you have a pipeline. You don't have a pipeline until you prospect, and you can't prospect until you practice.
And when you have options, then sometimes then you start to challenge yourself. You start to say, I'm going to go after that C personality that I typically don't connect with. And I'm going to see how well my skills are developing so I can go and I can earn his business and I can show him and give him that opportunity. That's when that constant and never ending improvement kicks in and you go, I'm going to take it to the next level. So these 3 questions here is all that the pre-qualification is really trying to get to. It's trying to understand what the seller's motivation is, trying to understand, do they have to sell? And do they know where they're going to? Do they have a specific place they're going to go in a dedicated time frame that they have to be there? And if you want, I'm going to pull up the resource center really quick so that we can show that inside. This is inside the bulletproof listing process. Inside the next level resource center, you've got your bulletproof listing process where all of this is in more in depth. And you're going to go through your practice, your prospect, and your pre-qualify. And that's what we're doing here. We're going through this process to get them to the point of, oh, wrong one. Here you go. Asking these questions to understand where they're at in this process. Are they a seller? Are they someone who has to sell? Why are you selling? Where are you moving to? How soon do you have to be there? All of those questions are going to be in here. And when you set that tone and you ask them, hey, so I'm really happy you have to sell your home, or I'd love to really talk with you about that more. Here's how I handle my business. I've got a few questions I'd like to ask you, and you go through the whole P process. When's a good time that we can schedule to go over these questions? And you sit down, can we do it now? It'll only take about 5 minutes, or would you like to do this later this evening when you have a little more time? We could do it at 6 p.m. tonight. And you sit down and you follow.
Do it on Zoom. You can do it in person.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
I'd like to hop over into my Zoom room, so I'll send you a link really quick, or can we do it later this evening at 6 p.m. Once you get out of work, we can talk a little bit more then. I just have a few important questions I'd like to go over with you, and then we'll talk about scheduling some time to come see your home. But you have this script and you have this whole process that's right here for you for the listing pre-qualification, trying to get to the point of knowing, do I have a seller? Or are they just a thinker? Are they just hoping to get something out of it? Or do they have to sell? And is this somebody that I can count in my pipeline as an opportunity that I'm going to show up as one of my appointments, that I have an opportunity to put it on the market and count this as a sale?
And once again, Chris, I just want to interject. A lot of people are new to real estate sales. And just trust me, sales is nothing more than asking questions. Everybody thinks sales is demonstrating product. It's not. Sales is asking questions that lead the customer down a path to a successful outcome. So look at some of these questions. When would be the ideal date to close and move? How soon do you have to be there? What's your reason for moving? Why do you feel what do you feel the approximate value of your home is? Will your plans change if you can't get your price? Have you already found? Now this is important, because if I just read questions, it sounds like a what? Jeff?
Script.
Interrogation. Where were you the night of Friday the 15th? Where were you at 10 o'clock? Blah, blah, blah. That's not this, right? So this is where you have to get the skills of listening. And then we had on a previous slide, repeat and approve. Are you interviewing more than one agent for the job of selling your home? No, I'm not. Oh, you're not? Fantastic, right? pause, break, insert some stoppage. Next question. Will all of the decision makers be at our meeting? Oh, they will. Perfect. I'm gonna make sure I have enough information for everybody present. Right? You're gonna put some pauses in there so it doesn't become, this is a flashlight in my hand, it doesn't become an interrogation where I'm just drilling you question after question after question. So understand that that's not what this is. Because if you don't do it with skill, it becomes an interrogation and it's not comfortable. And they're gonna kick your ass right out of the room.
And this is not your opportunity to go on long-winded rants or discussions or tell them about the market and this is what's happening and I can't believe this and that. Did you see? This is just an opportunity to ask the question and get an answer, repeat and approve. Use this opportunity to connect. I don't care what any of these answers are, and I don't have an opinion on any of them. My job is to ask the questions, to get the answers, and find a way that I can connect a little bit more with them, understanding them, because we're going to use these in more of the scripts later in the process. We're going to repeat them back to them so that we can show that I paid attention, I listened to you, I understand you, you can trust me because I said I was going to do something and I did it and I followed through and I paid attention and listened.
So to make that point just a little stronger, you can't follow this system if you skip this step. Because if you skip this step, you can't go to the listing presentation because the beginning of the listing presentation says, oh, so just to confirm, you said you're moving to Miami, right? With something called a head nod, which you'll learn from Jeff. And you said you have to be there by August, right? Yes. And you're repeating the answers they gave you here. So if you don't have the answers to these questions, you can't do the listing presentation. So you can't skip this step, or you have to skip the presentation part. And then you go, boom, 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 and you lose to Coldwell Banker, who's trained better than you. Or it's just an idiot competition and they pick the idiot they like best. Not that you're an idiot, of course.
They really choose the person they like most.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they know we're good at what we do. They know Century 21 is an amazing company. They probably know Beggins is a great company. They know that you're a good person. Now it's just about not blowing it. And the only way to not blow it is to follow the exact system. So you look like a professional who knows what you're doing. You're handling the largest financial transaction in their life, guys. You can't wing it. It's just not fair, right? And it's annoying and it's frustrating and it's more work to wing it. So this is, boom, let's just go into autopilot. So these are the questions you don't have to internalize. You should, but you don't have to because you can read right off them saying, hey, Chris, are you going to be more than an agent? Oh, you are? Great. Who? Oh, John with Remax. Fantastic. Good. Hey, well, all the decision makers be at our meeting. Oh, good. Okay. So there's 2 people. Great. I want to make sure I bring enough information for everybody. And where are you moving to? Chicago? Oh, fantastic. What's the ideal date to move? I promise you, whoever you're competing with is not doing this, right? Which automatically takes you to the next level of professionalism and lets you win, right? That's why we do this, guys. It's a competition. It's a game, and we like to win. And that's why we're in this business, right? To win, because when we win, we get goals, we get stuff, we get income, and income creates good opportunities. But so just backtrack it and follow the process all the way. So there's our P3.
Mm-hmm. P4. This one takes a little time. And this is a pet peeve of your broker because I have to deal with all the problems that come up. Right. And it drives me, and our staff has to deal with all the problems that come up. When you put a house under contract and it cancels, it's extremely wasteful. It's wasteful for your time. It's wasteful for the buyer's time, the seller's time, the cooperating broker's time, the office staff's time, all this other stuff. Right. And there's a lot of, and I'm going to use the word, there's a lot of weak agents who just roll over and let the seller tell them what to do. We are the professionals. I can tell you what's going to happen. A buyer is going to be attracted to your house. They're going to make an offer. The offer is going to be negotiated and accepted at some point. And then what are they going to do? You all know. They're going to hire a home inspector. And what's the home inspector going to do? Tear the house apart and find problems. So the buyer has been looking. They find the house they love. And then they get a home inspector and says, hey, the house you love has got a bunch of problems with it. And they're in an as-is contract with an inspection period and they can just walk away. But they don't. They come back and then renegotiate. So this preview part is multifaceted. It's part of you taking control and having the seller educated now that this is what's going to happen. A buyer's going to come and look at all this stuff. If we want to get the maximum value for the house, I noticed that there's stains in the ceiling. We might want to touch that up. right? Is it an active leak? If it's an active leak, you need to fix the leak and then touch it up, right? We're not in the business of non-disclosure and all this type of stuff. So we've got a whole script of what to say on the preview point, which I guess we'll jump into in a minute. But this is a really important part of the process, and it's you being the professional taking control to make sure we avoid the problems down the road. It's easy to get the listing put under contract, right? The hard part is getting it to closing. So that being said.
So we created this listing preview checklist to give you the map, right, of what to actually say. It's like, sounds good, do a preview, what do I look for? Well, this is what you do. And it's a lot of it is pre-qualifying. Now, remember, it's connections. Connections and sales is asking questions. Look what every single one of these is. It's a question, right, that you get to repeat and approve and connect with and get their vocabulary and their tonality and their representational systems and their DISC. Everything's coming together, guys. This is all deliberate to give you all of the gunpowder you need to just to fire and win. So in your words, how do you describe this home? So let's sit down. I'm over at your house and previewing it. So Chris said he wanted to sell your house. Say, great, I'd love to come see it. I could see at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, which was better for you. See you at 4 o'clock. Great, I go over and I walk around. So Chris, I got a couple questions I like to do. This is one of the things I do with my clients is, let's go through these. In your words, please describe this home for me. In whose words? Your words. Why do I want your words? I clearly know it's a Mediterranean 5-bedroom, 4-bath on the water, but I don't want that, my words, because I'm not the one selling me. I'm here to sell you, and I'm here to make sure you're comfortable. So I want to hear you describe your home. So give me an example. Chris, how would you describe your home in your words for me?
Well, it's a one-story spacious home with a massive kitchen. We've done a lot of really nice upgrades with a beautiful view in the back. It's really homey. It just makes it's a really comfortable place for me and my family.
All right. So he said a lot in that simple one, right? It was one story. It was spacious. It was massive. It was comfortable. It was, I mean, he rattled off his words. Huge, yeah, right, huge kitchen. These are the things I'm writing down, right? That's why there's a blank. And that's why there's a paper for you to bring. It's your script, but you write them down. But write down his words. Nothing about what you think matters at this point, guys. People are like themselves. Chris's world, the person who describes the house the way Chris's did is the one who gets the listing. Right?
It's comfortable.
It's comfortable, right? That's the words. And then you go, how did you select this home, Chris? Now, when you and Lindsay were looking at this one, I know was this the only home you looked at, or did you look at a few?
No, we looked at quite a few homes.
You looked at quite a few. Okay. So what was it about this one? What sold you? Why did you guys just pick this one? What was it about it that attracted you to it? Why did you buy it? What was it? What was the it factor from this home?
It was a combination of things. Location was important. That's why we identified the area. But as far as the home was really like the 3-car garage and a working space for both of us inside the house and a separate space for the kids. Those are the things that meant a lot to me.
Okay. So as an agent, what's important to me right now? Aligning with my client is a good idea, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to write down everything he just said. The 3-car, of course, the location is phenomenal, Chris. I mean, it's the schools, and that's what attracted you to the area. But the home, the 3-car garage, you have such special separate work areas, a place for the kids, all the stuff he just wrote, I'm writing down. Now, what is he thinking as I'm repeating back what he just said and writing it down?
You're listening. You're understanding me.
You're interested in
Jeff knows. Jeff knows me. Wow, how did he know? Even though I just told him those things, wow, he knows that. Okay, he knows me. He's listening. He understands. He's taking it on.
The exact same words.
Guys, I feel heard.
It's not hard. This is easy. It's harder not to do this. It's hard to just sit there and say, how am I going to dazzle this guy and get this listing? There is no dazzling. It's
ask questions and repeat them.
Approve, write down. Repeat, approve, write it down. It's simple. Right? My kindergartner can do that. Right? That's the point. That's what we're doing here, guys. It's that. Then you go through what did you like most about living here? Now, this is all going to go into our MLS descriptions and all the other stuff later, which he's going to love. Right. So I'm just feeding back exactly what he wants to be fed. That's it. So that's what you do on the preview.
That reminded me, Jeff, Alex Perillo was a former president of Realogy Franchise Group, which is all the Realogy franchise real estate companies. And many years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, he was a keynote speaker, and he was talking about this. And in light of the new market with video being so popular, he thought it was a great idea to actually interview the homeowners on camera and have them in. Well, the reason we chose this home, we came in and we walked in and saw the view of the lake. It was just spectacular. Then it had workspaces for my husband and myself. We had a 3-car garage, which he's always wanted, and blah, 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 blah. And they go through, and that's what you market, because that's what sold them. And that's likely it's going to sell somebody else. So your point was the words, your answers you're getting from these questions become your MLS description, because that's what was important to the buyer who bought it. Because writing the MLS descriptions is a really hard thing to do for a lot of people. This is your cheat sheet for doing that.
And your customer is going to call you when you write your own MLS description in your words that are not their words. And they're going to say, well, I think it's a spacious kitchen. I don't know why you said wide open chef's kitchen. Could you maybe call it spacious for me? Right. So why even get that phone call when all you had to do is write spacious, right? Let's not work harder than we have to, guys.
Yeah. Just think about the process we're going through to pre-qualify, to preview, to price it, to present, to position, every single one of those. In between each one of those meetings, you're also confirming appointments, but then every single one of these P's is an opportunity to connect. All of these questions, we're building more rapport, creating a greater connection. So before you even go in and tell them that their home is worth X, or here's the values of your home, and it might upset them or make them disappointed, you've had at least 7 opportunities to connect with them. So now they like you, know you, and trust you. And no matter what you say at the presentation about price or here's the comps, they may not like what you said, but they trust you. They like you. They know they built that connection and said, Jeff, yeah, that number may not make sense to us, but we do trust your opinion, and you're able to work through those things easier. The whole point of this is to build this connection, and that's what you're doing through this whole process.
And from the broker side, again, you're gleaning a lot of information. Like some of these questions here, what's the approximate age of the roof? Right? Why is that important today?
Insurance.
If it's a 15-year-old roof, they're probably not going to get insurance at a reasonable rate if they can find a carrier.
It also reminds them that they have a 15-year-old roof.
And just remember these questions, the answers. I don't object to do you know the approximate age of the roof on your house, Craig, before you replace it? 20 years, 25 years. Oh, that's going to be an issue for insurance. We're going to have some problems. We're going to have to really address that. That's not the time for these. It's not the time to point out and
15 years,
out.
Great. Have you had any?
It's not the time to point out the issues, the leaks, the problem. It's the time to note them while you're previewing the home, understand them, take the notes, and listen to them and repeat what they're telling, approve what they're saying. This is not the time for the objections.
Yeah,
you don't call all these things out. You ask the questions. I repeat and approve, and I understand, and I connect. 20 years old. Excellent. So you got a 20-year-old roof. Understood there. And do you know what kind of shingle you have on that roof? Maybe ask them another question just to remind them that there might be some other questions coming from buyers and issues. Do you know what kind of shingle it was? You know who replaced it? Did you replace it? How long? We know how long they've been there. You can ask a few other questions, but that's about it. You're not objecting. No objections.
Great point. But come back to it, because it is important when we get to the promotion.
Zero friction. This is a frictionless process, guys. This is not to really re-emphasize that. There is no room for friction at all. This is, it's a 47-year-old roof. Fantastic. Okay. And then we're going to keep on rolling.
Oh, it's the original asbestos roof. All right.
Oh, sweet.
We might be able to get it labeled as historic. So then when you're going through your preview, you're going to have some leave behinds. You can print them out in a, why did it go all the way to the end? You're going to print them out in a PDF, or you send them this link. You can text them the link. You can email them the link. And it's just a nice preview fluff package that's going to show them that you're a professional. You're going to have our listing preview presentation link in there. They can watch this video if you send them the link. Obviously, if you leave behind a PDF, you're not going to have that. But we're trying to show them that we're a professional. And this video right here has got a lot of really solid points. And it's going to remind them of, over 70 different reasons why they should hire us.
Yeah.
So Chris, back up to that real quick, because when you're doing the listing pre-qual script, toward the end, it says, by the way, I'm going to send you over a 6-minute video of our listing presentation. I really need you to watch it before our presentation, right? That's part of the script. So if you skip that part and they don't watch the video, then when you get to the presentation, it's going to say, hey, did you get a chance to watch our video? And if they say, yes, we did, then you question them and say, well, what was it that caught your attention about it? What did you like about it? And if they, oh, no, we didn't see it, then you pull aside, park, and play the damn video, right? Because that's the way. Every presentation has to see our video because it's saying more than you are. Long story short, had an agent years ago, great agent, won every friggin' listening presentation she went on. She was not tech savvy and the internet had just started. There's a tech savvy couple, right? She never touched on internet marketing, and we were Century 21. We did great internet marketing, but she didn't talk about it. And she got really pissed off because she didn't get the listing. And I made her call them and say, why didn't I get the listing? Well, we really thought the internet was up and coming. We wanted somebody who was savvy on the internet. And we were savvy on the internet, but she didn't talk about it. So you don't know, there's 70 things in this video that's going to push a button. And we don't know which button is theirs. But when you ask them, what was the, oh, I really liked your single agency. Well, then you expand on single agency, right? I really like your internet promotions. Great. Let me tell you about our internet promotions, right? So all these things tie together. So you can't click A and then skip B and go to C. You got to put them all together because they tie into a comprehensive bulletproof listing process.
And you've got this listing preview package in Moxie. It's already done. It's literally it's like 6 clicks. You click, you put their name in it, and then you click through here. It's already created. You've got some really professional material. This creates its own website for them to go to. That's going to have the listing presentation video. It's going to show them that you are a knock 'em out professional, single agency, talks about all of these things. It's 33 pages and it has our 11 questions, our leave behind here. This is a really, really powerful form to use, especially if they say they're interviewing other brokerages. This is what you want to use. And we'll come back to that. I'm just going to breeze through this presentation so you can see it talks about everything that we do as a professional. So you don't need to run your mouth during the pre-qualification, during the preview, or even during the presentation. You just need to follow the scripts. Everything else speaks for itself. It's all here for you, already done. All you have to do is click it, send it, click it, send it, and your listing preview is done. As you get near the end, and like Craig says, as part of some of the other scripts that you're using, you're asking them about the video, but you're also asking them, so I sent you over all of the documents that you'll be signing and when we come over this evening. And I was just wondering if you had any, did you have any questions about those? Those are going to be in here as well. You're going to have your listing your listing agreement right here, has the full listing agreement, has all of the other documents that they're going to go through and sign. So you're asking, did you have any questions about any of the documents that were in the package that I sent you? Did you get to see that video? What was important to you? What stood out?
And I think the most important part there, Chris, is don't say any of this. Let this say it.
Right.
Because you're not going to say it as well as this does.
Yes.
At all. So don't even bother. All you're here to do is ask questions, repeat, and approve. That's all we do. That's our entire job. This is your backup piece. Do not do anything except ask the questions we're telling you to ask, and you will win.
Well, let's expand on that. So, would you like to offer a home warranty? No. Okay, next. There are some times. Well, let's talk about that for a second. You know, a home seller offering a home warranty typically tells faster for more money and has a greater chance of closing. Right.
Yep.
We can put a home warranty on for as little as $500. The buyer can upgrade to the top line if they want to. And by the way, if you do offer a warranty to the buyer, you get 6 months worth of coverage on your basic appliances in your house. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we do that. It's only $500, but you have to pay it if the buyer buys.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Now you just sold a home warranty. You got half a tank of gas, maybe a quarter tank of gas.
And then that you can talk about the certified pre-loved, all the other stuff too.
It's all in there.
But it's all in here.
What did you think about the certified pre-loved homes idea?
And you can always say, what questions did you get a chance to watch the presentation I sent you? What stood out to you, and what do you have any questions on? And then you can probe a couple questions. What did you think about those 11 questions?
Yep. And
you could bust them if they didn't read them, right? And you say, what do you think? Did you notice a section about certified pre-loved homes? I'd like to talk about that for a moment.
Just think about it. Think about the guy that, this is the story always reminds me of this. The guy that walks into the dealership to buy the brand new Chevy Corvette. Salesman walks up to him, tells him about the horsepower, how fast it goes from 0 to 100. This thing is, you're gonna have all the attention when you're driving down the road. Take the top off, people are gonna be looking at you. It's gonna be amazing. And the guy never buys, never comes back. And in some follow-up with another sales associate, he finds out that the guy that walked in to buy the vet was looking to buy it for his 16-year-old daughter who just started driving, and he wanted to know the safety features. He wanted to know all of those things about the vet, how fast it stopped, how fast it went from 60 to 0, not 0 to 60. He wanted to know the crumple, the crash ratings on it. He wanted to know all of those things. So anything that you say about this presentation, did you see this page? It was amazing. Yeah, we do this. You could potentially be losing it and turning them off. It's not going to be important to them possibly. So just ask the question. Did you get to see the presentation I sent you? Was there anything that stood out to you or any questions that you had about that? Go take that approach, because otherwise you're potentially missing the boat and you're literally trying to be too much of you and not enough of them.
Great points.
Sales training.
Great points. You want to hit those 11 questions while they're up, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah, Michael.
Let's go through these, because this is a leave behind, guys. And this happens when you send in this presentation for sure. But I like to have you leave it when you go to the preview also, right? A hard copy of this one, because even if they tell you they're not interviewing somebody else is in their ear, and they will be talking, especially in the market the way it is right now. Their neighbor is going to say, "Oh, you got to talk to Bob. We bought our home from Bob. Bob's a great guy. I fish with Bob all the time. He's amazing." Bob's going to enter the equation, right? At some point of time. So what you need to do is inoculate against Bob, even when you don't even know about Bob. And that's why this piece was designed, okay? So this is the 11 questions. In the event you happen to speak to another agent before we meet again, here's a few interview questions to ask them. So how many homes does your office or team sell a day? Do you have a back office support staff and management team? How do you specifically determine the price for my property? Please explain how you legally represent me, single agency or transaction brokerage. Please explain the difference. What happens if you receive multiple offers? How do you handle this? What happens if you get multiple offers and you have the buyer also? Who do you represent here and how? How do you pre-qualify buyers from other agents? What's your theory on escrow deposits, right? How much and when should I get it? What do you think is suitable to give a buyer for financial loan approval period? How long? Do you have an in-house attorney if we need it? Other than the MLS and all the syndicated feeds that come from the MLS, what specifically are you going to do to attract buyers from my home? Right? These are just boom, 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 and designed to catch other people off guard. Because if we're honest and we're talking to you, I don't know how you're going to answer all these 11 questions right now. Okay? So, but you need to be ready, because we also anticipated that, and we actually gave you the answers to all the 11 questions too. So you can answer, and I think they're actually in here. Are they the answers?
Not in this presentation, but they are in our resource center. Okay. And the point being, if every single consumer got these 11 questions, no new agent would ever get business. There's a really, really high likelihood that there would be nobody else coming into your market getting business unless they did a better job at connecting than you do.
Yep. So guys, this is just take the advantage points, right? You play the hand you have, and we have a great hand. We have an amazing hand. We have really an untouchable hand. It's just making sure that you play it and make sure you know what's in your hand. That's why we do this. Okay.
Good.
Okay, so back to that. So we messed something. So the preview is actually we have a list of those questions too. The idea is you got the appointment, you pre-qualified the appointment, you're going to go preview the house. So you're either going to send them a link to this presentation, or you're going to print it out like some agents do and put it in a nice folder or binder. The concept there is you put the marketing material on one side and the paperwork on the other. And that's called transparency. Look, this is what I'm going to be asking you for. Here's our marketing materials. Here's the paperwork you're going to be required to sign. We leave that behind after the preview, because we're not going to make the presentation the next day or the night or the 2 days from now, whatever it is. So they have time to look through all that. And that's for two reasons. One, to make them feel comfortable, show the transparency. Two, so when you go to the presentation, you can get the work done and get the hell out. Right? You don't have to explain. They had the chance to read the listing agreement. They trust you anyway. They're not reading it anyway. But they don't question the signing, and it doesn't take so long to get it done. So the preview part is really, really important. You know, I listen to the radio when I shower in the morning, and there's always IDC, the International Diamond Center, right? And they're talking about the diamond rings and the clarity and the this and the this and that. And their salespeople are no pressure. All this stuff is going on and on. But if I called IDC and said, hey, what's this diamond worth? What are they going to say?
You got to bring it in.
Bring it in.
Gotta
Let
see
me
it.
look. Let me have the jeweler look at it. Right now, if I call, and I guarantee you I could call 5 real estate agents, and I said, hey, what's my house worth? And they'll shoot me a number. Chris, we had a situation where it was Carolina beat Mike Simpkins.
Yep.
Mike gave the woman a price over the phone without even seeing the house. Carolina went in and previewed it and gave her a lower price than Mike did, and she listed with us. Right? Because she showed the time and the caring to go look at the property and then pointed out it's a 1986 friggin' house that hasn't been updated.
And the
For
woman
Mike
said,
Buchanan house.
the woman said, she literally said to her, I should have listened to my gut and I should have listened to my connections because I knew you were the right person for the job, because Carolina took the time to build the rapport and build the connection. She said, I should have listened to my gut. She first thought about going with a higher number, and then she literally did. And she calls her back the next day and says, you know, I should have listened to my gut, and I'm deciding to list it with you now. You're the right decision.
And
It
she
felt
had to
right.
cancel the other appointment that she had already told him he had it.
Yep.
So this is real stuff that works. Rachel commented, recently someone mentioned the family business aspect is something about that stood out to them. I was about to jump into single agency, but then I instead I talked about the Beggins. That's the whole point, because you were listening. Great.
Yep. Anything else on the preview that you want to add? I think we hit that one pretty good.
I think that's important, and you could dig up in the resource center even more, but we're just making sure you guys are getting this checklist in mind about it's time to raise the game, guys. It's time.
Number 5, pricing research. This is tough, especially in this market, because we're seeing, you know, I would say 4 months ago, it didn't matter. Chris, you had this line. You can't underprice a house, right? If it's a 500-ish house, you put on at 480, it'll get bid to 520. I don't think we're in that market anymore. And if you put it on at 520, it's going to sit there, and we're going to start seeing we're seeing price reductions coming through the MLS right now.
Yes.
Right? So the art of putting the right price on it has become an art again, right? So after you preview the house and you go look at it and you're making notes, you're not arguing with people yet, but you're finding out there's ceiling stains and there's mud daubers and there's cobwebs in the corners and there's all the little stuff, and the baseboards are really tacky, and you know all the stuff that a buyer is going to look at. You're making notes of that at the preview. You're not discussing it with them. And then you're going to come back and do your pricing research, and you're going to look at the houses that are for sale that are competing with it. You're going to look at the houses that are pending that are competing with it. Normally we'd say expired, but there aren't very many expireds to use. And then we look at the houses that have recently sold that are similar to it. And nowadays you can pretty much do it online and look at the pictures and get a pretty good idea. Although some pictures make a house look a hell of a lot better than it actually is. Right? So this is hard. It's not hard. It's subjective. Right?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's complex.
And it's very opinionated, right? You might not like a traditional house, and this is a traditional house. But the buyer doesn't care because there's nothing else out there. They'll take a traditional house and renovate it and do something different. Okay. So when we get into Moxie, and there's whole presentations in the resource center on Moxie that Jimmy's done, showing you how to pick the comps, pick the actives. And, you know, we used to talk about a strategic pricing analysis, and forget the name of the document. The idea was we picked 5 properties that are similar active, 5 that are similar sold, and 5 that are similar expired. We do the exact same thing. We're just doing it digitally now. So when we see the comp number 1, you can touch it or tap it, and it'll bring up comp number 1s and all the pictures so the seller can actually see what their competition is looking at, right? And there's an example of what it looks like. So
this is what it looks like in Moxie. So Moxie has this section of it that has the active properties, the pending properties, and the sold properties.
And then let's back up to that, because I said very clearly, I need 5 actives. Well, I just looked in my There's only 2 actives in my neighborhood right now. One is not even built, and the other one is substantially overpriced. That's all there is. There ain't nothing else for sale in here. So is this the only place a buyer can buy? No. They can buy in Andalusia, they can buy in Mirror Bay, they can buy in Flamingo, they can buy in Kingston Court. So I really would try to demonstrate the choices a buyer has against the house you're trying to sell. So try to stick to the 5 act, even if they're not in the same subdivision. The buyer doesn't have to be in that subdivision. If there were no homes for sale in that subdivision, they'd have to go to another subdivision.
Correct.
So pick something similar. Try to give them 5 comps, and then you'll justify those comps because maybe Kings Lake isn't as nice as Covington Park or whatever. But try to get more options, not less. Right, but not more than 5. Pick the best 5 that a buyer lands at the airport, drives to the neighborhood, says, "What can I look at?" We'll talk about this on the buyer day tomorrow, because the buyer, to become a buyer, has to have an area they want to live. They can't be decided between Safety Harbor and Temple Terrace, right? Because they're going to drive you crazy. But the same thing, this is a concept. This is what a buyer is going to see when they come to town. And if the buyer is looking for a neighborhood like yours, this is what they can find. And it's totally subjective.
And it changes hourly.
Yeah.
The pricing and the research section, this is your time where you sit down and you pull out a good range of where you feel that's going to show the seller, here is the possibilities for what people can choose. Here's what possibilities of what people did choose. And here's the possibilities of the ones that they chose and actually closed on. And the whole time, all we're trying to do is put more power into the seller's hands so they can choose the price together with us. So we're not the ones that are picking the price and saying it's gonna sell for that. That's the price. That's not what we do. Our job is to collaborate together. So pick the properties that help collaborate together, show them the low end, show them the high end, get a nice collaboration of that all into your presentation. You can do it in Moxie. You can do it on their strategic pricing analysis. You can do it on any one of those. Moxie has a really nice presentation that's right here that you can put together while you're doing the pricing research. And it has all kinds of different information with photos. This is the PDF version just because their website wasn't working when I went to put this together. So this is a PDF version. It has side by side of all the comps. And this is another leave behind. And it's also a follow along with when you get to the presentation time. Mr. Seller, we'll talk about that next. So Mr. Seller, here's this. Do you notice which one was the lowest? Do you notice the highest? Which one was most like yours? You're going to have all of those in one place that you can go over that with them.
And this is where I'd start talking about, well, not quite yet. I noticed this one had a new roof. Your roof is 18 years old. That's something we need to think about, but that all comes into this pricing and research.
And you can make those notes. So these are the times you start noting those things and making notes in the Moxie presentation, because there's a section you can add notes about each property. You can make those notes on it so you can talk about them during that presentation or when you get to the positioning section, once they've decided to list with you. And now you're going to work on determining the price. But this is your research and gathering. I'm going to research permits. I'm going to look up public record. I'm going to see what Zillow says it's worth. I'm going to see what RPR says it's worth. I'm going to look at the AVM. I'm going to look at all of those things. I'm going to pull all of the info that I can find. I'm going to get the Google Street View of it so I see what some people will see. I'm going to go through everything and gather all the research I can find, plus all the information I've already gathered from the seller, because the seller said I just put a new roof on it, but the permits, I don't see a permit for a new roof. Okay, that goes into my bank. I know there might be a concern there. So I'm starting to find all of the congruencies or incongruencies in the questions I ask them with what I'm finding in my research. That's our time to gather all this. Now you start formulating just the full story and the full narrative of the property so that when you go back and you go for your presentation, you have your full on connection time. And then when you talk about positioning, now you can get all of this out in the open and determine how do we put the most amount of money in your pocket.
Yeah. Or ignore it all, let it go through the process. The buyer's going to figure it out and cancel. And you wasted a whole lot of everybody's time. So the research is really an important component. We could probably do a class on that separately.
Yeah, a whole separate class. And then once you get your research, either once you do the preview or once you do the research, you want to schedule your presentation time and you want to call them to confirm your presentation. Again, take every opportunity you can to reach out and create that connection. So if I know I did my research, but we didn't schedule the presentation time yet, I'm going to be calling them. Hey, this is Chris. I just got done with all of the research and I just wanted to briefly touch base with you and see, did you get a chance to review the video that I sent you? Did you have an opportunity to look through all the documents that I sent you in that website link? Yes, you did. Great. Did you have any questions about them? Anything you wanted to discuss? What was your favorite part about that video? Go through that. Wonderful. So are we still available to meet this evening at 6, or would tomorrow at 5 o'clock work better for you for our presentation? Again, when they answer the phone, using rapport building skills, listening, using the same words that they use, using the same tonality they use, talking in the same tempo that they are using, all of those opportunities to do that while we schedule the presentation. And then all of our work to this point leads to a nice seamless presentation.
Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Just scroll up one more slide, or Chris, scroll up one more slide. There's something I saw.
In which one, the pricing or the next one down?
Moxie present. Oh, shoot a video.
Yes.
We didn't talk about that.
So in Moxie Present, what you have the opportunity to do is we've already got the presentation already built for you. It's already done. You use your seller presentation with comps. Very easy. All you have to do is make a couple clicks and then go through. It connects to MLS and pull the comps. Once you get to the end of that, it's very easy for you to click add a page and insert a video. I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to shoot a quick little video. Said, hey guys, Chris Reed, Century 21 Beggins. I'm really excited for the opportunity to present to you. I'm going to use some of the words that they've been using. I'm really excited for the opportunity to present everything that I found for you. I hope you really enjoy the presentation, all the information included. I look forward to seeing you this weekend to present all of this information to you. Just a quick little video, quick little something, anything that gets in there. That way you can create some more connection, input it into your presentation and send it off. Now they're going to have everything that you need for when you go sit down and meet with them.
Now that sounds like a lot of work, but we're talking about a $10,000 paycheck.
Right.
Is it worth the extra time to just knock their friggin' socks off?
Yes. Yes.
Pretend you're in competition on every listing. This will blow their socks off and nobody else is going to beat you. But it's those little touches.
You've already presented when you previewed it. You've already presented when you did the prequal. You've already presented when you sent them all the package. So this is just another presentation, guys. And this is just the nail in the coffin. This is it. This is game day. This is it.
Yep.
And then our final P.
Nope.
Second to last, almost.
Yes.
The actual presentation, the scripts, scheduling your presentation, going through the same thing. So you've practiced and you've practiced and you've practiced and you've role played through your scripts and you've listened to your upswings and you've listened to the way that you discuss and the way you repeat and affirm things to people. You've listened to all of that. Now is your chance to take that and go to the next level and go through the listing presentation script, which is just a series of questions. Take control when you get to the house and go through the series of questions to get to a logical conclusion of a wonderful presentation.
Yep. And there's that damn dog thing, 73855.
Yep. Go to the presentation. So again, in the resource center, we've got your full presentation script, your full listing presentation script,
which you can download and print.
Down at the bottom, it's got it right here.
And you take this with you. This is the point Chris was talking about earlier. You print this out and this is in your hands. This is in your folder when you're walking into the home. And it's just like, this is my checklist, right? Hey guys, I wrote down, and it says right there, I wrote down 3 real important questions for you, which gives me the permission now to look down on my piece of paper. Say, number 1, have you guys absolutely decided to sell this property now? I think the answer is yes. We're moving to Chicago and need to be there by August, right? And you have to be there by reading and writing. There's my script. It's right in front of me, but I know it. So I just look down as just a reminder point if I ever need to, because what am I focusing on now?
Macarena.
That's my point. What am I? How are you sitting? How are you doing? Where's your head? Where's your eyes? What is your body posture doing? What is all this happening? And then because I don't have to worry about words, because I say, oh, even if I get distracted, I look back and I say, okay. And oh yeah, there's at the end of the presentation, 1 of 3 things going to happen, guys. Number 1, you have the opportunity to hire Century 21 Beggins. Number two is for whatever reason, you'll decide not to hire Century 21 Beggins. And the third one is we'll decide not to market your property, and really anyone is fine. Does that make sense? Good, good. Now let's quickly take a moment and read the questions after the phone. You said you're moving to blah, blah, blah. You have every excuse in the world to have that piece of paper in front of you. You need to, you should, you have to. And then it just takes so much pressure off, guys. It's the way.
And these are the answers to the questions you asked at the preview, which reminds them that you paid attention to them, and you're building what we call yes sets. Things in motion tend to stay in motion.
That's right.
So if during the presentation, they're saying yes and agreeing with you, when you say sign here, they go, yes, I'll agree with you.
Yes.
And they sign. It's not trickery. It's just salesmanship, right?
And this presentation is nothing but questions. Nothing but questions. There's not one statement in this entire presentation. 100% questions.
All the statements were made in the pre-marketing package and the listing presentation.
And it goes all the way down to, now that you've seen these prices, where do you want to get started? Okay, let's go ahead and sign the contract. That's where it rolls. But you internalize this, guys. Memorize it, internalize it, memorize it, internalize it, internalize it. Take an hour a day until it's internalized, and then take 10 minutes a day to keep it sharp. Right? That's your job, guys. It's so easy. Just want you to just let it be easy and simple, both of them.
Where do we have the seller's cost estimator?
There's one in the resource center.
There should be a sample one in here. If there's not, we might want to put one in there.
There's a sample. This has got the sample listing presentation in the resource center. There's a cost estimator. That's a separate document that we have in here as well. And then Moxie has a net sheet cost estimator linked into it as well. If we go to that, I didn't include it in this one. Actually, no.
On the 11 questions, Chris, the one we were going over yesterday, it had a picture, I believe, of a spa sample.
When it got uploaded, it's that's not on that one in the resource center, but in Moxie, here's your net proceeds, and you can put your nice range. Same way that you have the cost estimator, you can create the same thing in Moxie. You can create as many columns as you want. 605, 645, you can do another one, 610, 615, 620, all the way up, has all of your costs, goes all the way down to what the estimated net proceeds would be if you sold at that price. Walking through that, comparing the spa, which is right here, this pricing analysis. Here's your active properties, your pending properties, and your sold properties. Your strategic pricing analysis does the same exact thing. Your seller cost estimator, which is your net proceeds estimator here, the same thing. It's going to have all of the costs written, listed, put on here for what those are going to be. The same exact thing, either way, whichever one you want to use. This can be done in a PDF or a website link that you send to them for the presentation. Everything's already embedded into it. You can print out the SPA, the Excel sheet, and the cost estimator and bring those as a PDF as well. I would recommend doing at least sending the link and always having a PDF document. Because why? Because this is technology. And technology doesn't always work when you need it. You've been sitting on a plane before, supposed to have internet. You start logging in, you don't have internet, and you're like, dang it, I can't do what I need to do. And I counted on this 2-hour plane trip to do it. You'll be sitting in front of them and you'll try to pull it up and it won't work. And you're going to look like a fool and you're going to get thrown off and confused. If you have a PDF with you at all times, you're able to just slide it across the table and do that seamlessly. They won't even know the difference.
Yeah. Well, the part that I like about the cost estimator is it gets the seller involved in choosing the price. Mm-hmm. Because if you price it at the low end, it's going to sell fast. If you price it at the high end, it's going to sell slow. So what time frame would you like? It just kind of takes away the objection power in them. And they say, well, I want to go for the high price. Well, it might take a little longer, but we're happy to do that. And it's their choice. No, we need to sell fast. Let's go. And this is average here in the middle. So.
Yeah, looking. Yeah, it's not in there. We'll get that uploaded into the resource center. So that's in there as well.
Great.
And I personally don't cringe over the net sheet. Don't feel like you have to give them an exact number. Call the title company. They'll do it all to form for you.
Correct.
And
it's an estimate.
Yeah, we don't know what the purchase price is going to be. So it's just an estimate. And I'll tell you, the real simple thing is figure closing costs at 8%, 1% for doc stamps, 1% for title insurance, and 6% for commission.
I like this last part. And this is what one point I want you all to see is Now that you've seen these prices, what price do you feel we should use to get this property sold for you in your time frame? We're putting all of the emphasis on them. They're the one that's motivated. They're the one who has to sell, who is going to sell, who's going to move, has the timeline they have to do it. So what price do you feel after seeing that? You see all the ones here were listed at this, which one is the lowest price, which one is the highest, which one is most like yours, and so on and so forth. We're starting, yeah, do you see that one had the newer roof? That one actually had the pool. This one was on water. We're starting to get them into the saying, yes, I see that. Yes, I understand that. Okay, yes, I know. Did you guys have a new roof? I don't remember if you didn't. No, we don't have the new roof. Okay, they're starting to understand where their price finds and falls into this category, and what price do you feel we should use to get this property sold for you in your time frame. It's their decision.
Yeah. And as we get into the older homes now, I mean, my neighborhood's getting old now. We're 35 years old. And I was talking to a neighbor yesterday on the walk, and Dr. Steinbeck's dock collapsed. A new resident got a new boat. They asked if they could keep it on his lift. He hasn't used his lift in a long time. They put it on, and guess what happened? Piling snapped and the boat fell in the water.
Yeah.
So we're just having docks crash, fall apart, seawalls. If you're dealing with 40-year-old homes that have cast iron pipe going to the sewer, I mean, we're finding all these problems that, you know, ideally a buyer will find. And if not, they find it later, then they get unhappy and they sue and they end up in mediation, and it's just a mess, right? So there's a lot of little things. And so I want you guys to keep tuning into the daily huddles, because that's where we hit the real life scenarios of, oh shit, now what? This happened, now what? This happened, now what? And there's a lot to learn. And it happens in every neighborhood, in every area. So are we on number 7 now?
Yeah. And then, yeah, let's go through number 7, Chris, because positioning is the key. And this is where the guidance comes in. This is where the trust comes in. This is where the advisory's role come in. So how do you like to handle positioning?
So I like to, going through the listing presentation, when you use that script and you use your SPA or Moxie or the cost estimator, it just continues to progress through. And when you start asking them, where do you feel that would be? Now we start to be able to get to the positioning section, because where do you feel we need to price the property to get it sold in your timeline? They may still be saying they think it needs to be sold all the way up here at the high end of it or at the low end. Now we talk about positioning. So let's talk about, how do we compete with those other homes? Let's talk about what you might need to do to prep your home to get it ready. I see you might need mulch, might need to paint. This is where all of the things in the preview start coming together with all of the things in the pricing, and we discuss the things that are going to need to happen. Do we stage the property? Do you need to hire professional cleaners? Do we need to paint? Do we need to remove things? Do you need a new roof? Do you need a new AC? Is your dock needing to be fixed? Are we just going to disclose those things? Is that going to affect the price? How much would that cost for this? Now we start talking about that part of positioning. And then the next step for positioning after that is, based on that price, those terms, your timeline. When do we go on market? Do we go on a Friday? Do we go on a Monday? Do we go on a Wednesday? Do we set it up and ask for highest and best right out of the gates? Do we start off with a lower number and try to encourage people and get a competitive bidding environment? This is where all of those discussions start coming in to position the property to put the most amount of money in their pocket.
And I want to put a plug in for the certified pre-loved homes too. Positioning, that's part of the deal. We have the title search run, we have the insurance estimates done, we have everything done. So when a buyer comes in and goes, whoa, full and fancy, here's what my insurance is going to cost. Here's what my these are the repairs that were identified and they've been fixed already. And here's the receipts of the work that was done. I trust these sellers. I'll pay.
Yeah,
that's how it works. You pay more for a certified pre-loved Lexus than you do for a Lexus off AAA auto sales.
And the market, as it shifts, is going to become more and more important, because when you don't have 7 offers and you only have 1, the leverage shifted. And now the buyer is the one with the leverage, right? And when that changes, everything changes. Then it is, no, actually, I'm not okay with accepting the house as is anymore. I want these 5 repairs done or I'm walking. And you don't have anybody else. What are you going to do? Right? That's the attitude change that you're going to see in some markets. It's going to happen. So anticipate that being the case and get the certified pre-loved inspections done. Get a handyman out there, tighten everything up now, so then there's nothing to argue about down the road, right? That's just smart advocacy for our clients, is to do it right. Right. I'm having a conversation with agents right now about inspections and requests and repairs. And do we actually Do we try to push them away even though we think we have a backup, but we may not? Do we do the repairs? Do we not do the repairs? These weren't questions we even had 2 months ago. It was screw you. Whoa, get away, right? It's changing. So now let's just go back and let's do it right. And let's offer the home warranty. Let's get a certified pre-loved inspection. Let's get the re-inspection. Let's show the repair list. Let's show the receipts. Let's show the survey. Let's show the insurance quotes. Let's actually do it right and put them all in the attachments to the MLS and get it done right. Right.
And there's no hurry. You guys get a listing and think we got to hit the market right away. You don't. Take your time to get it right. This is the positioning part. When it hits, it should be proverbially spit polished and shined, right? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Get your photography lined up, ordered the right way, ready to go. So when it hits, it's all done. You guys sometimes will just put it live with a cell phone picture and we'll add the other pictures later. No.
Well, that worked 6 months ago just fine.
Yeah. But really it doesn't, because every time you put a listing up, you're showing your next seller how you market.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Right. So if you do a shitty job once and somebody says, oh, that's how Chris does it that way, I don't want to deal with him. But man, every time, you look at Aixa. Aixa's been with me like forever. When she puts a listing up, it is done. There's no half-assed. She's got videos. She's got all this stuff. It's all been spit polished and shined. It's ready to go. And sometimes you'll sit on a listing agreement, always get the listing signed, right? Get it signed. You just don't have to start it right away. Get an MLS hold letter, I think it's called, waiver of entry. But get it signed and then spend a week or two getting it right. And my God, new mulch and flowers make a huge difference. And you can buy that for 30 or 40 bucks, right? If the homeowner can't do it themselves, you don't do it for them, please. Recommend somebody to come over and plant the flowers for them. It's worth, they can do that. A lot of you go a little overboard with cleaning the houses for them and doing all that's not your job, right? It's nice if you want to. I'm not saying you can't, but it kind of puts you aside from the professional. You should just have somebody who does that stuff.
That's what I was just about to say. Just remember, you're the professional. You're the one who makes the recommendations. They may say they don't want to do something, but it's your job to tell them that, in my opinion, it is in your best interest to get a pre-listing inspection, to have your electric bill, your water bill, everything that we mentioned before. You are the professional. So just because they're saying they don't want to do it, or the most expensive words in any business or situation are, I've always done it this way. Just because you've sold 20 homes and you've always done it that way doesn't mean that's the best way to do it. I'm the professional in this market. So you have to take that role. You are the professional. These are the things that it's taking to get a home sold. And you told me you want to make this amount of money and be in this place by this time. And if we want to make that much money and get you in that place at this time, I recommend we do these and this and that and there, because that's going to put the most amount of money in your pocket, attract the most amount of buyers, potentially create a good competitive bidding environment, and still be able to get you out in time to get where you want to be, using the motivators they've already given me to get them light a little bit of a fire, to get them to do a little bit more to make this the best product that we're going to put out there.
That's professionalism and selling real estate in 2022.
Taking control.
Second half.
There you go. And then we've got the team. You got everybody behind you. You've got the packages, everything's set up. So our purpose of doing this today, guys, is to get you ahead of the curve, right? Because yes, I was just talking with an agent this morning before the show. Multiple offers, 40,000 over list price, all that's still happening in micro markets, and it will continue to happen because, as Craig pointed out earlier, we've got a major shortage of supply and still demand. But as rates go up, demand will soften, and we're going to have a more balanced market come, right? So we just want you prepared ahead of the time where it's necessary, because your competition is going to start scrambling when it's too late. And when you're ready to go and you're on point and you've got your process down, it's internalized, it's ready to go, you're going to make everybody else look like amateurs, and you're just going to walk away with every listing presentation you go on to. And that's what we want for you and for us as a company, is for you to be your best and for the other agent to be their best and the other agent to be their best. It's kind of a rising tide raises all boats. So this is a call to action to everybody in this company. Raise your game, right? Because you represent everybody in this company. So if you're doing a half-assed presentation, that's reflecting on me and Craig and Chris and every other agent in the company, and it's just rude, right? And it's not right. So your job is to step up your game, because other people are stepping up their games. And when we all step up our games, we're going to exponentially grow so fast and be so attractive that our market share will grow, our recruiting efforts will grow, our professionalism grows, your bank accounts will grow, everybody wins. And all it's going to take is a little bit of time set aside in your schedule to say, let me start getting good at this, right? And that's it. We couldn't have, every tool is done for you guys. It's sitting there, it's ready, it's right here, right? So that's what our outcome, our wish.
And I want to comment on that because it doesn't matter what the market does. When you perfect these skills, you're safe in any market.
That's right.
Right? Because what's going to happen is the market is going to slow down and agents are going to get out of the business. The good ones are going to last. And this is what's going to make you a good one. So invest the time now. So when it's time, you've got the practice and you've got the ready. This is probably the most important. If you want to be a listing agent, you want to take listings, this is it. And remember, we've got like 3 sources now. We're working to get listings brought to us. And we're going to be very choosy with the agents we get because we're getting measured by our ability to close. The interview I had last week said, we gave this guy 15 listings. He didn't land one of them. We're not giving him anymore.
That's right.
So when you're given a listing, you're expected to close it, get it listed and sold, because the sources that are giving us these listings are giving us them on the come, meaning they get a referral fee when it closes. They're gonna do the work up front and don't get paid until it closes. So they're not giving it to people who can't close them. So you master this presentation, and you all agree? Do we have some comments back and forth from the audience? Does this make sense? Like if you went through this process, do you think you'd win? Mike loves it. Some thumbs ups or something.
We're just trying to make your life easier. It seems like it would be harder to have to do this, to learn it, but that's the constant and never ending improvement. Just the same way when you started driving, you couldn't drive a car without staring out the front, paying attention, every little thing, every movement. You can only focus on the road. Well, now you're driving with a Big Mac in your hand and putting makeup on or reading the paper, or you're looking at your phone, checking every other car out there, looking at all of this stuff that's going on around you. And it's easy. We're just trying to make it easier for you to do your job, to show up, to build the connections, to build the rapport by giving you systems, processes, and tools that are going to empower and educate and encourage you to step out and create the life that you've always wanted.
That's it. Well, thank you guys for your attention, and rewatch this, get into the resource center, get into Beggins Agents, talk with your manager, get an accountability partner, right? And just up your game, guys. And we're going to keep doing these, and we'll have some productivity schools coming up. I think we talked last night about getting home plays for listing presentations, so it becomes more second nature to you. But in the meantime, just get rolling, guys.
Yeah. So. Cool. And remember, next level resource center is c2nbeggins.teachable.com. Log into that and you'll see all these tools and resources Chris just showed you are there for the taking. There's videos, there's pre-recorded classes, there's all kinds of stuff, documents, the downloads, everything, the scripts, it's all there.
And tomorrow is the same thing, but on buyers.
Yes. There is a buyer process too.
All right.
Cool. We're done. 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10:13. So we did almost an hour and 45 minutes.
Cool.
Thank you guys.
Awesome. Happy Wednesday.